our application works. It enables us to log in and we can log out back to the login interface. So our next step is to add some components to the main application to perform the tasks we want it to perform. So let's log out, exit using the console, and we go to the main application XML. We open it with a scene builder to do the modification. First thing we'll do is to change the width and height of our application window. To do that, we just select the application window, which is the border pane. We go to the layout and set the preferred width and height to what we want them to be. So the width, assuming we want to set it to 640, and the height we set it to 440. The next thing we will do is to add a menu to our application. So we go to the library and we search for menu, and we are looking for a menu bar. So we drag the menu bar and place it at the top of our border pane, and we would have a menu showing. So in our menu bar, we'll delete some few things and leave some few things out. So under the file, we have a menu item called close. So we want that when the user clicks on close, the application should close or it should lock the user out. So we simply select the menu item close and we go to the code, and what name do we want to give to our menu item close? So we call it menu close so that we can reference it in our controller class. The next thing we'll do is to go to the edit, and we have a menu item called delete. We'll delete this menu item and we'll drag and drop another menu into the edit. So we have menu, we drag menu into the edit menu, and inside the edit menu we now have a menu that has a name unspecified menu. So we select it and we go to the properties and we change the text to font size. So we want the user to be able to use this to modify the size of the font in a text editor. So let's add some menu items under font size. We'll add 3. So we are looking for menu item and we drag 2 more. So under font size, we want to give the user the option to change the font size to 3 different types. So the first one, we click on it and change the text to 10. So the user would be able to use that to change the font size on the text editor to size 10. You can change this one to 14, and we change this one to 20 for font size 20. So we can likewise work on the code. We go to the code and change the names. So what name should we reference this menu item called 10? Let's call it font size 10 or font 10, and font size 14. We do the same. Let's call it font 14, and we do the same for font size 20. We call it font 20. Aside the font size, we want the user to have the option of selecting a font type under the menu item called edit. So we need to search for another menu and add it to edit. So we drag the menu and drop it under edit, and we change the name of this menu to font type. So we go to properties, we select the menu, go to properties and change the text to font type. So we want to give the user the option to select 3 types of font, and we go under it and we add 3 menu items. There is already one, so we look for menu item and we add 2 more. So menu item, add font type and another. So the first menu item, we change the name. We want that when the user selects that, we should keep the text area, the Arial font type. The second menu item under the font type, we want to give it a name, monospace, such that when the user selects that, it should change the font type on the editor to monospace. So we select the menu item, and in the properties we change it to monospace. And for the last menu item, we select it and we change the name to fantasy for the font type. So what we need to do now is to go to the code for the three menu types we selected and change their IDs, or give them unique IDs which we will be able to access in our controller class. So we select the first menu item, Arial, and we call it font type Arial. So this is the name we'll be referencing in our main controller class. We change this one to font type monospace, and we change the last one to font size, font type fantasy. We need to now work on the last menu, which is the help, and we want that when the user clicks on the menu item under help, which is about, it should display information about the developer. So here we are not changing the name, we'll leave it as about. The only thing we need to do is to change the ID under the menu item about, which we can reference in our controller class. So we select the menu item, we go to the code, and we give it a name or an ID, menu about. So anytime the user clicks on this, it should display an interface which will tell us about the developer or who made our application. We can preview it to see how our application will look like. So when we go to File, we have Close, Edit, we have font size, we can pick any of them. We have the font type, and we can pick any of them, and we have help and about. So let's close it and minimize the menu bar, and we see what we do on the rest of the application. Now let's look at designing the main interface of our application since we are done with the menu. So first of all, let's look for the VBox, and we add the VBox to the left side of our border pane. We drag it and drop it. Inside the VBox, we want to add 3 buttons which we will be able to use to swap between a text editor, a graph plotter, and an image viewer. So we go back to the library and search for button, and we drag and drop a button. We add 2 more, and this is what we will have. Before we give our buttons names and unique IDs, let's select all of them and do some little modification. So we select all our buttons, we go to Layout, and under Margin, let's change these values to 10 for all of them. Now we can individually work on the names and text to display on our buttons. Let's pick the first button, and for the first button we want that when the user clicks on it, it should show the user a text editor for the user to play with. So we go to Properties and we change the text to text editor. For the second button, we want that when the user clicks on the second button, it should show an interface to view images. So we want it to be called View Images. And the last button, we want that when the user clicks on it, the user should be able to plot a graph, and we call it plot graph. Now we select the V box and we go to modify and use computed sizes. This will automatically adjust the buttons. We can as well adjust them on our own to suit our purpose. Now let's give our buttons unique IDs, which we'll be using to reference them in the controller class. So we select the button text editor. And what name do we want to give to it? Under the code, let's call it btn show editor. So the button to show the images, or for us to view the images we want, we'll call it btn view images. And the button to plot a graph, we'll call it btn show graph. We can decide to modify the appearance of our buttons by simply selecting a button. Assuming we want to give the button plot graph color, we simply select the button, we go to properties, and under properties you can see the text field. We can select whatever color we want for that. If we want red, we select it, and that will be the color that will be indicated on the button plot graph. We can as well change the font type we want, whether we want it regular or bold. So we now have a plot graph and it is showing red and bold. The next thing we need to do is to go to the Logout button. We select the Logout button, we right click on it, and we select Wrap In, and we are looking for the H box. We want a horizontal box to wrap the Logout button in a horizontal box. So inside the horizontal box, we are going to add 4 more buttons. One that we'll be able to use to open text file, another to save a text file, another to load a picture, and one to plot a graph. So we simply go to the menu, we look for button, we drag 4 of them into the H box. So we have our first one, second, third, and fourth. So what we need to do now is to reposition our buttons. We want the Logout button to be at the end and not the beginning. So we simply click it and drag it below. So we can see the Logout is now at the end and the rest of the buttons are before the Logout. So what we need to do is to select all the buttons, and we go to the layout, and for the margins, let's give the margin 10 for all of them. For the first button, we want that when the user clicks on this one and the user is on the text editor, it should allow the user to open a text file. So we go to the properties and we give it a name, open text file. We select the next button. We want that when the user clicks on that, the user is on the text editor, we want the user to be able to save the text to the text file. So we select it and we go to properties, and instead of button, we change it to save to text file. The third button, we want that when the user clicks on it and it's on the image viewer, the user should be able to open an image of his or her choice. So we select that and we call it load image. And the last button, we want to use that for plotting our graphs. So we just change that to plot graph. So let's resize our buttons so they all have relatively similar sizes. and we do a modification. So let's select the open text file, change the style from regular to bold, and we increase the font size to 18. Let's save text. Let's change it to green. Make it bold, italic, and the font size we make it 14. For the logout, let's change it to red. Change the size to 14, and we make it bold. So we can see some of the buttons, the text are not showing properly. So we can simply readjust to let the text show. And we can preview to see how it will look like. So we'll have text editor, image viewer, plot graph, and the rest of them. So let's close this one, and we give them their unique IDs. So we select the button to open the text, and we go to the code. What name do we want to call it? Let's call it btn open text file. We change this to btn save text. We call this one btn load image, and we call this one btn graph. The logout button, we already dealt with that. It's called btn logout. So we are done with our buttons. The next thing we would do is to add what is referred to as a StackPane in the center of our border pane. So once we add a StackPane, we can add layers of different interfaces on our StackPane. So let's start by looking for the StackPane in the library. So we select the StackPane, drag it, and we place it at the center. With the StackPane added, we can now add our different user interfaces for the text editing, image viewing, plotting of graphs, and showing the developer on the StackPane. So to ensure that our application is responsive with regards to the size of the window, we are going to use the border pane to do that. So we need to add 4 border panes onto the StackPane. So we search for the border pane in the library. We drag 4 border panes onto the StackPane. So the first one, second, third, and fourth. So we'll simply give our border panes respective names or respective IDs to ensure that we can reference them to either show or hide depending on which button the user clicks. So assuming the first border pane we wanted to show the text editor, we'll simply select the first border pane and we give it a unique ID, name editor. And the second border pane, we want it to be the one to display for us to view images. We call it pane images. And the third border pane, we want to use that to plot our graphs. We call it pane graph. And the last border pane, we want to use that to display about the developer. So we call it pane developer. So what we now need to do is to add components to our respective panes. The first border pane is supposed to show the text editor. So inside the first border pane, we go search for text area and we drag that in the center of our first border pane. In our second border pane, which is supposed to view images, we expand that and we go look for image view, drag that into the center of our second border pane, and our third border pane, which is supposed to enable us plot graphs, we are going to search for line chart and place it in the center. So we drag and drop it in the center. And our last border pane, we just want to put a label in the center to display for us the information about the developer. So we just look for label and we place it in the center. So let's go to the first border pane and give the text area a name. So we select the text area, go to the code. What name do we want to give to it? We call it txt editor. We do the same for the second border pane. We expand it. We go to the image viewer. We call it img image view. And for our third border pane, we select the line chart and we call it line graph. So our line graph, when we expand it, we can see we have the category axis and the number axis. When you select it, you would see which side is which. So the number axis is the y-axis and the category axis is the x-axis. So what do we want to display on the y and x-axis? So we simply select the category axis, go to properties, and there is label. And at label, if we want anything to be displayed, that is what we do. So assuming we want it to be day of the week, and for the number axis, we want it to be temperature. So we are plotting the weekday versus temperature readings. So let's go to the image view and change the size of it. Go to the layout and we want to change the size to from 200, let's make it 500, and we do the same for the height. You can preview it to see how it looks like, and this is how our application will look like. So let's close it and add some information about the developer. We go to the border pane showing the developer, and we want to change the text here. So let's say develop by ABC. Let's change the font style to Algerian. Let's make it regular and change the size to 18. So the next thing we need to do is to write the codes that will handle the events depending on the buttons that the user is clicking on. But before we do that, we have an event handler that will deal with the logout when the logout button is clicked. So we can use that same event handler to handle the event when the user clicks on the file and clicks close. So we go to the menu, and under menu, we select the menu item close. We go to the code, and there is no ID for it, so let's call it menu close. And what happens when the user clicks on that? We simply select the logout method that will handle the event when the user clicks on the logout. So we can now save it and test it to see if it is actually working. However, before we do that, let's change the size of our border pane. Instead of 640, let's make it 750, and we make this one 600. Now we can save it. Go to our Eclipse, we refresh and run. We log in. And this is what we would see when we expand. when we try to click on close, it logs us out back to the main login. Now when we log in, we realize the size is not what we specified on the scene builder. It's smaller here, so we need to change that as well. We change it to 750 by 600. We need to go to the login where the main application is loaded, and we change this one to 750 by 600. Now when we run it and log in, it's loaded as we expect it to. So the user has the option to close, change the font size, click on about, view the text editor, view images, plot graph, open, save, all the way to logout. So the first thing we would work on is showing the about. What happens if the user clicks on the about? We want it to display developed by the name of the developer. So we'll close this and go back to the scene builder. And at the scene builder, we need to change some settings here. We have 4 border panes. Which one do we want to show first? At the moment, we can see the developed by border pane is showing. We want to move that to the back and bring the text editor border pane forward. So we can right click on the border pane containing the text editor and bring to front. Now when we save it and go back to our Eclipse, we refresh and we run. We log in. This is what we would see first. So the text editor is what we will be showing first. So let's go back to the scene builder. We select the developer pane and we bring to front. So the developer pane will be in front, directly on top of the text editor. We save it, go to our Eclipse, refresh, and we test it again. We log in, and this is what we will see. So before we can write the codes to handle the events, we need to copy the declaration from the scene builder and put them in our Eclipse. So we go back to the scene builder, go to view, show sample skeleton, and we need to copy all the declarations. We copy them, come to our Eclipse, and we paste them here. So we can see there are some errors. The logout button has been copied twice. So we first of all delete the logout. Now we need to import the menu. So we should be careful that we are selecting JavaFX menu. And we need to import the image view. And for the line chart, we need to specify the type it is going to take. However, let's import it first. What type of line chart do we want? We want a line chart that will take string and the number. The text area, we need to import the text area as well. So all our errors are gone. We can now begin with the methods to handle the events on our user interface. The first event we would want to handle is when the user clicks on the about. What should happen? When the user clicks on help and about, we want only the developer pane to show. The rest of the panes or the border panes should be set to invisible, while only the developer pane is visible. So we are going to handle the event when the user clicks on about. So we go to the end of our codes. and we write a method public void about. What should happen when the user clicks on the about on the menu? We want to set the pane that shows the developer to visible, so we say pane developer dot set visible, and we set it to true, so it will be visible, and we set the rest of the panes to visible, set them to false. So the editor, we want to set it to visible, and we select false, so it will be visible. We set the graph pane to visible, and we select false, and we set the images pane to visible, and we select false too. So we go to our scene builder and we look for the menu help. So we go to the menu help, select the about, and when the user clicks on it, what do we want? We want it to display the about pane. We want it to display only this and nothing else. So we can save it, go to our Eclipse, refresh, and we run it. Log in. Now when we click on about, this is what happens. So we can see previously the text editor pane was showing, now it's disappeared. So we now need to handle the events when the user clicks on any of these three buttons to hide the rest of the panes and display the respective pane we want to display. So we are simply going to the Eclipse. We are going to copy this code and do a modification. So we copy, we paste, and instead of about, we want to view text editor, and in here we are setting the text editor to true, and we set the rest to false. So we take this one up. We do the same for the image view. We copy and paste. So here we want to view images, and we set all of them to false except the images, which we will set to true, and we do the same for the graph. So we copy and we want to view graph. We set all of them to false except the graph. So we set the graph to true. Now we need to go and do the linking on the scene builder before the effect will be shown. So we go back to the scene builder. So we select the button for the text editor and we go to the code. What happens when it's clicked on? We want it to view the text editor, so we select that method. We select the view images. We want it to view images or display the pane for images. We select the button for the graph. We want it to view graph. Now we save and go back to our Eclipse. We refresh. Now we can run. We log in. Now if we click on text editor, we have our text editor we can type in. Click on view images, it's hiding the rest. Click on plot graph, it's hiding the rest. However, we can notice that when we click on text editor, the button load images is showing and we can click on it. We can click on plot graph. We don't want these to show. We want that when the user is at the text editor, these two buttons should be disabled and only the open text, save text, and logout are enabled. When the user is in the images pane, open text, save text, and plot graph should be disabled, while only load images should show. When the user is at plot graph, open text, save text, load images should be disabled, whilst only plot graph and logout should be enabled. So how do we do that? We go back to our codes and the methods that are going to display the various panes for us. We want the buttons that are not associated with those panes to be set disabled. So in the about method, only the logout button is what we want to be enabled. The rest are not associated with the about. We want them to be set to disabled. So we start with the button that will load the images. We want to set it disabled and we set it to true. We want the button to plot graph. We want to set it to disabled and we put true. We set the button that is supposed to open text. We want it to be disabled and we set it to true. We want the button that will save text with text file. We want to set it to disabled and we set it to true. So we simply copy these and in the other method showing the respective panes, we paste and we'll do the modification later. So in the method to handle the graph, to show the graph, we want the button plot graph to be enabled. So we set it to false and the rest of the buttons should be disabled. The method to show the images, we want only the button to load images to be set to false and the rest should be disabled. And in the button to show the text editor, we want only these two. We want to save text and open text to be enabled whilst the rest are disabled. Now we can run it. Log in and we can see when we click on text editor, only these two are showing, the rest are disabled. When we click on view, only this is showing. When we click on plot graph, only this is showing. When we click on about, only logout is enabled. So we've been able to handle those. We will now see how we can handle the events when the user clicks on the font size, the font type, as well as open and save the text. So we close it and go back to our code. So let's write the first method that will handle the event when the user selects font size 10. So we call it public void font 10. And what do we want to happen when the user clicks on font 10 on the menu? All we are simply going to do is to say txt text editor dot set the font, and in the font we want to set a font type, so we need to call font. What size do we want? We want it to 10. So this will ensure that whenever the user selects the font size 10, it will change the text in the text area to font size 10. So we simply copy this and change it for the remaining font sizes. So we paste. There is a font size of 14 and there is a font size of 20. Let's also write the codes that will change the font style, the font type from what we have, the Arial, monospace, and fantasy. So we are simply going to copy this and we paste. And instead of font size 20, we are going to make it Arial. And what do we want to happen when we are in the font type Arial? So inside, this method is for a double. So we are going to change this to font dot. Now when we use the dot, we can see we have a string for the font family. Whichever method we want, we can use string, font family, the posture of the font, and the size as well. So for the first one Arial, we are just going to use the family. And what family do we want? It is a string, so we type Arial. And the next one, we would modify it a bit. We copy this. For fantasy, let's change this to fantasy. And instead of font Arial, we are going to do a modification, font dot. We want it to change to fantasy and at the same time change the posture of the font. So we select this one. What family do we want? We want fantasy. And what posture do we want? We want font posture dot, and we want it to be italic. And what size do we want? We want the size as well to 25. So this means whenever the user selects the fantasy font, it will change the type, the style, and the font size as well. So let's copy this and change for monospace. So we change this to monospace and we change this to font. We want to change the name and the size as well. So we change this to monospace. And what size do we want? We want it to 80. So we can save it and go to the scene builder to do the linking. So in the scene builder, what we need to do is to go to the edit menu, and for the menu item 10, what should happen when the user clicks on 10? Go to the code and we select font 10. We go to menu item 14 and we select font 14. We select this and we change it to font 20. Now we also change the font type. Menu item Arial. We want that when the user clicks on it, on action, we want to change the font type to Arial. For monospace, we want to change it to monospace. And for fantasy, we want to change it to fantasy. We save it and we go back to our code. And in our code, we need to change the font sizes. So font size 10 is 10, font size 14, we change it to 14, and font size 20, we change it to 20. When we run it and log in, we can maximize. We click on text editor and we type. Now let's see if the font is working. Font size 10, It has reduced it. Change to font size 14. This is what we get. Change to font size 20. This is what we get. We can change the font type to Arial. We can change to no space, and we can change to fantasy. So the font size and type are working. We now need to write code that will enable us to open text, save the text with type to another text file. So we close this and go to our Java codes to see how we can write that. So let's call our method to open the file, open text file. And inside, we now write our codes that will present to us a open file dialog box to enable us to select the file and in the file in the text editor. The open and save dialog box in Java can be invoked by using the file chooser. So they are all created from the file chooser class. So we need to create a variable from the file chooser to display the open dialog box to enable us to do the selection. So we say file chooser and we give the variable a name. So we call it file chooser equals to new file chooser. So this will create a variable of the type file chooser, which we can now use to either display the open dialog box or the save dialog box. So when the open dialog box shows, what we want to be written on the window for the user to see. So we can set what we want the window title to be by simply saying file chooser. We are referring to the variable we created, dot set title, and we say open text file. So this is the message that will show when the user clicks on open on the window that will be containing the files the user will select from. Now when the user selects a specific file, what we need to do is to get the path to that file before we can open it. So to do that, we'll just create a string variable that will obtain the path of that file as a string, then we'll pass it to our file before we pass it to either the scanner or the Puppet reader. So we create a string variable called path, and this will be equals to concatenate nothing with file chooser dot show. We want to show the open dialog window. We can either use the open dialog window or open multiple dialog window. For this case, we'll pick this one. If we are saving to text file, then we'll use the save dialog window. So we select this, and inside we want it to be null, and dot get the path. We want to get the absolute path to the selected file. So this will enable us to obtain the location of that specific file the user wants to open. We can now create a file variable which we will now pass this path to enable us to obtain or get access to that file. So we say file, input file, is equals to new file, and we are saying the new file is located at the path the user has selected. So we can now access the file that the user has selected because we've given it the location of the new file. So we simply import the file utility and the error is gone. So we can now pass this input file to either the scanner or Puppet reader to enable us to read the content in that file. So here we are using the scanner. scanner root file is equals to new scanner, and we are reading from the input file. So we need to import the scanner utility, and we need to either surround with try and catch or add the throws declaration. So add throws declaration. Now we can read the contents of the text file into the text area. But before we do that, we need to clear the content in the text area before we add anything else to it. So we can do that by either saying ext editor set text to null, or we could have used ext editor set text, and this would do the same thing as invoking the set text to null. Now that the content of the text editor have been cleared, we can now use a while loop or a for loop to loop within the file we are passing to the scanner and read line by line, and we copy that line and paste it on the text editor. So here we are going to use a while loop, while, and inside we want to see if the read file has a next line. Take that next line as a string and write it to the text editor. So what we need to do is just create a string variable, string text is equals to read file dot next line. Now we need to append the text for each line to the text editor line by line. So we simply say ext editor dot append text, and we want to add a text, and we go to the next line to write the next text. So \n is an escape character, would enable us to go to the next line to append the next text. After that, we close our scanner variable, so read file dot close. So we can save it and go to our scene builder and link the button open text to this method. So we go to our scene builder, and in our scene builder we are looking for open text file. So we select open text file, and under the code we are looking for on action. We want the method to be used should be open text file. So here it is. Select that and we save. We go back to our codes, we refresh. Now let's run it to see if there are errors. So we log in, and we go to text editor. We want to open text file. We click on it. So we see the title we set is open text file. That is what it's showing. So we go to a place that contains our text file. This is a text file that contains content. We click on open, and it has copied the text to the text editor. So we can do a modification, and this is what. So we close it and see the code we would write to save this text to a different text file. So we close it, go back to our code. So the code that we'll use to save the content on the text editor to a text file will not differ so much from the codes we have used in opening the text text file. So we are going to copy the first few lines and we would now create our method. So we just copy the file user to the path that we are getting the path from the file, and we now begin with our method. So we public void save to text file and we paste that here. So here we are using the same file user to show window that will allow the user to select the text file, and instead of in text file we are just saying select text file, and here instead of showing the open dialog we want to show the save dialog. So show, we want save dialog, and we simply click this. So when it shows the save dialog and the user selects a specific text file, get the absolute path of that file. So we can now pass this path to the selected file to a print writer, which will now write the content on the text editor to the selected text file. So we create a print writer. We want the print writer variable to be called output is equals to new print writer. And what is the path to that print writer? So we want it to go to path. So we need to surround the try and catch or add throws declaration. We have added throws declaration. Now we need to get the text that is in the text editor. So we say string text is equals to txt text editor dot get text, and we simply say output dot print line text. Now we can close our output and we go to the scene builder and link the button to this method, and we would be done. So we click on save, go to our scene builder. Now we select the button save to text. So when the user clicks on save to text, what should happen? Go to the code and on action we are selecting save to text file. We save it and go to our codes, we refresh and we run, we log in, go to our text editor, type something in, click the text, change font to fantasy, click on save to text. So we can see select text file, and this is an empty text file. So we select empty text, click on save. It asks if we want to replace, say yes. Now we can open our text file, see the content in it has actually been added. So this is what is containing our empty text. We click on it now, you can see this is a text that has been written onto the text file. So we close. Let's open a different text file and see. So we click on open, timetable. You can see this is a text has been deleted. Let's save it to our our new text file. So select this, click on save, and we go back to the folder. When we double click, it has rewritten everything that was. So this is evidence that it is working. We are done with the text editor. We now go to View Images pane before we look at the plot graph pane. So we go to the View Images and we'll write a method to handle the event when the user clicks on load. So with the image view, we can set a default image. It will show anytime we run our application. However, we would learn how we can change that image using the load image button. So we select the image view and go to the properties. Under properties, we would see image, and this is where we can specify what image we want to display. So when we click on it, we select an image of our choice and it will be saved. So we can save it and test to see if the image is actually displaying. We come to our Eclipse and refresh. Now when we run, we have admin 1, 2, 3, 4. Login. When we go to view images, the image is showing. So we now want to write codes that we can use to change the image over here. So we go back to our Eclipse, go to our codes. The codes we'll write to load the image will not differ so much from the codes we've already used in saving to text file or opening the text file. So we'll simply copy the first 3 lines of code and put them in our event handler for load images. So we call it public void load image. And we paste them in here. So we are using the same out user, and here we just want to say select picture, and instead of the save dialog, here we want to use open dialog. So it gets the path of the picture that the user selects. Now we need to create a variable that will read the content of the picture before we can use it. And in Java, we use the file input stream. So file input stream, what variable name do we want? We call it read file. It's equals to new file input stream, and we are passing the path of the selected file or the selected file to the file input stream. So we need to surround it with try and catch, or we add a throws declaration. So the file input stream is for reading byte-oriented data, that is data such as images, video, and audio. So the read file we have created will read the selected picture by the user in bytes, and we cannot use it in byte form like that. So we need to do a conversion from the byte form to an image, and we can do that by using the image variable to do this conversion. So we say image, and what is the name of our variable? Picture image is equals to new image, and convert the byte form we have read file into an image for us. So we need to import the image utility before we can do the conversion. Now that the conversion is done, we can now use this picture image in our image view to view whatever image we select. But before we do that, we need to ensure that whenever the picture is loaded, it should not get distorted. The aspect ratio should remain. So we can change that by simply saying img that's the name of our image view, dot set preserve ratio, and we select true. So the ratio will always be preserved anytime a picture is loaded, so it doesn't get distorted. Now we simply put the picture image in our image view, img image view dot set image, and what do we want inside? So we select picture image and we are done. So we save it and go to our scene builder to do the linking. So in our scene builder, all we need to do is to select the load image button, go to the code, and under the action we select load image. We save it and go back to our Eclipse. We run it, login. Now we can go to view images, and this is our default picture that we inserted. We click on load image and we select the folder. We pick the picture of our choice and it gets loaded. So we can see we change it to a different picture and it gets loaded. We can change to another picture and it gets loaded. So our text editor is working, image view is working, we are left with plotting the graph. So to plot the graph, we will simply go to the codes and write an event handler for this button, plot graph, and we'll come back to the scene builder to link, and that will be the end. So we close it and go back to our code. To enable us plot the graph with a button click, we create a method called plot graph, and inside our method we need to first of all create a series that will hold the data points that we want to plot before we can now plot our graph. We can create the series by simply saying xy, because our line graph is plotting x against y or y against x. So xy chart, we want to create a series for an xy chart. So xy chart dot series, and our series is of the form string and number. We can see when we initially started, we declared our line chart as line graph of the type string and number. So it will pick string value and the number value. So we go back to our code. So XY chart, what is the name of our series? Let's call it week 1. It's equals to new XY chart dot series, and it is of the type string number as well. Now we can give a series a particular name so that when we plot, that will be the legend of the plot. So we say week 1 dot set name. So we are plotting the temperature readings of the week in June. So we say from 1st to 7th June. So that will be the legend assigned to our series or data points we'll be plotting. Now we need to get our weather data. So we want to generate weather data. We can read that from a database, but we are just generating it manually. So we do that by saying week 1 dot get data dot add, and in the add we are going to add a new XY chart dot data in the form of a string and a number. And what is the data? So we have 1 day, comma 25. That happens to be the temperature that was read on Monday. So we can add the same thing for Tuesday, Wednesday to Sunday. So I'll just copy Tuesday, Wednesday, so this becomes Tuesday, and assuming the temperature on Tuesday was 33 and the temperature on Wednesday 15, the temperature on Thursday 0, and the temperature on Friday, let's say it is 30, the temperature on Saturday is 28, and the temperature on Sunday is 21. With the data generated, we can now plot our graph by simply saying line graph, get the data, and add the data from the week 1 reading and plot it for us. So let's do that. We say line graph, that's the variable name of our line chart. So line graph dot get data dot add, and we are adding the series. So the series is called week 1. We add our semicolon, and we can now go to the scene builder and link this method to the plot button. So let's save it and go to the scene builder. Now we are looking for the plot graph. We want the method that will plot the graph. Plot graph. We save it, and we go to our Eclipse, refresh, and we run. Login. We go to plot graph. Now we click plot graph, and it has plotted it for us. So we can see the legend 1st to 7th June, and this is a graph that has been plotted. However, when we click on plot graph again, we can see it's plotting on top of it. So we can decide to disable this plot graph button. Anytime you click on plot graph, it should disable it so that the user cannot click on plot graph again. So how do we do that? We close this and go back. Once we are done plotting, we want to disable the button to prevent the user from plotting on top of it. So we simply say btn plot graph dot set disable true. So we can run it and we see what happens. Login, plot graph, we plot, and we cannot plot. So it's been disabled. When we go to view images and we come back to plot graph, it's enabled, and if we click on it, it plots on it again. So we can ensure that whenever we go to plot graph, it should clear the graph and enable us to replot the So let's close this and go to the method that will show the graph interface and simply clear the graph anytime it is clicked on. So this is the method that will show the graph. So anytime the user clicks on the button to view the graph, we want to clear the line graph. So line graph dot get data dot clear. So this will clear the data, the line graph, to enable the user replot. So let's run it and see. Login. Images plot graph is been cleared. We plot. We cannot plot again. We go to plot graph again. It's been cleared. We can now plot. So we go to text editor, view images, plot graph, and we would always have a new interface to plot our graph. So let's add another series to see how the legend will look like, how the plot would look like. So we close it, go back to the method, and what we need to do is just copy this and paste. So now we have, so we change this one to 2 for week 2, change this to 8, change this to 14, change this to 2, and we copy the data for week 1 and simply do a modification. So all this will be week 2. Change this. So we've changed this to week 2. We need to change the values that are here. So let's say this is 15, and this is 23, and this is 25, and this is 10, and this is 20, and this is 22, and this is 26. So we simply just need to add 2 to the line graph. So this becomes 2. Now we can run it and it will plot 2 lines for us. Log in. Now when we go to plot graph and we click plot, so we can see legend shows 1st to 7th June and 8th to 14th June, their respective plots. So everything is working. So we are done with our application. It works, and time for assignment. As assignment, students are supposed to watch the videos, follow through all the practicals, and replicate all the things we did on their own. All the functions should be working. We should be able to close the file or log out. We should be able to change the font size when we come to the text editor. We should be able to know about the developer. We should be able to view images of our choice. We should be able to plot graphs. And to the main assignment, we want the student to add another button such that when it's clicked on, it will show another interface. So the students can add a pane of his or her choice. And on this pane, you are supposed to design an application of your choice. It should be unique and not submitted by any of your colleagues. Your application is supposed to be impressive and better than what has been demonstrated in the video. And we are submitting the codes together with the jar file for this assignment. The students are also to ensure that at the login part, the user should be able to use the enter key as well instead of just clicking. So for example, when we go to the login and the user types in admin and the password, when the login button is selected, when the user presses the enter key, we want the user to be able to log in. We did not do this in our videos, but that is what the students